Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are so excited to have you back for yet another 410 video. My name is Jason Geroux. I'm designated broker and owner of 410 Real Estate, a multi-million-dollar producing real estate brokerage here in Gilbert, Arizona. Today we are going to talk about terms from today's real estate market that you might not have heard of, or if you have, it's been a while, so we're going to touch on those. But before we do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. It'll probably be somewhere here on the screen. I'd love for you to be a part of the 410 family. We do a couple of videos a week. We try and inform you about real estate topics. We try to introduce you to local businesses and even touch on mindset and personal development topics every once in a while. So we'd love to have you as part of the family, so hit that subscribe button before you leave. Today we are going to talk about terms from today's real estate market that you may or may not be familiar with. So really there's 4 terms. You know me, I've got 3 or 2 or 4 of everything. So today it's 4. And so let's get jumping in. Number 1, we're going to talk about the escalation clause. What's an escalation clause, you say? Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate you asking. An escalation clause is a clause that we put into the contract at the time of the offer that automatically will help you compete against other bids and other offers that come in. So for instance, we might say something like, we're going to offer you $500,000 for your home, but should there be another offer that comes in higher, we are willing to pay $1,000 more than your highest offer, up to $520,000. So really what that does is it lets the seller know, number 1, that you're serious. Number 2, it helps resolve the issue with paperwork and timelines and counter offers back and forth. It lets you get that agreed to just from the very beginning. And one little side note too, the seller does have to provide you with the competing offer that triggers your escalation clause, so you don't have to worry about taking their word for it, so to speak. So that's the escalation clause. Number 2, we're going to talk about the as-is and or due diligence waiver. The due diligence period, you typically have 10 days after you sign your contract to do inspections, to check out the neighborhood, to investigate the HOA, to look into crime stats, whatever is important to you in that neighborhood. You typically get 10 days to do that. So what this says is, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm going to waive that 10-day inspection period and I'm just going to take the home as it is. Do I recommend that to my sellers? Or to my buyers? Absolutely not. For the seller, it's very nice because they don't have to worry about somebody canceling because of an inspection-related issue or making costly repairs, those kinds of things. And it does make your offer look attractive, but you don't know what's behind the walls. You don't know how the foundation is. You don't know if there's termites. You don't know any of that stuff. And oh, by the way, if you're financing your home, most mortgage companies are not going to let you get away without checking at least for termites. But would you want to move into a house that you know is a lemon? Would you buy a car off the road that you know is going to break down every 1,000 miles? Probably not. So I don't recommend a due diligence waiver, but we are hearing a lot of that. One thing I do want to touch on with regard to as is. As is does not mean if you don't do the due diligence waiver, you can also buy a home as is. That's different because it basically is telling the seller, hey, if I find something wrong with the home, I'm not going to ask you to repair it. I'm either going to move forward or I'm going to walk away. But I'm not going to be asking for any repairs. So that's different. And we do see that with some of our buyers where they'll say, hey, I'll take the home provided there's not some major issue that's going to cost me $50,000 when I move in. And that's something that's still competitive because the seller knows ahead of time, hey, we're not going to have to make any repairs if something comes up. As is due diligence, due diligence waiver, a little bit different, but we do see both of those. And I just combined number 3 with number 2, so we saved a step on that. So let's talk about number 4 or 3, or if you're counting. Number 4, we're going to talk about the appraisal waiver. What is an appraisal waiver? That basically, I think most of y'all know what an appraisal is. If you don't, it's an opinion of value that a certified appraiser gives you on what your home is worth in the market. And it's typically what lenders will use to finance your property. If you're paying $500,000 for the home and you're getting a loan for $500,000, the lender is not going to loan you $500,000 for a home that's worth $400,000, so they have it appraised to make sure it does match the value you're paying. Appraisal waiver means, Mr. Seller, if I get this appraisal back when we go through it and it doesn't appraise for what I'm paying you for, if it's low, I'm not going to come back to you and ask you to lower the price, nor am I going to walk away from the deal because of an appraisal. I'm simply going to bring the additional cash needed to the table at closing to make sure this deal closes without a problem. We are seeing a lot of that. I have advised clients if they have the additional cash, then they want to make use of an appraisal waiver. It is a competitive advantage, but you have to evaluate your own cash position. You have to evaluate what makes sense from an investment standpoint for you. But appraisal waivers are definitely competitive in today's market and very attractive to sellers. So again, we talked about escalation clause, we talked about due diligence waiver, and as is, and how they're a little bit different. And then number 4, we talked about the appraisal waiver as well. So I hope this information was helpful to you. If it was, please share this video with your friends. Somebody you know that might be looking to buy a home, or thinking, maybe they're renting now and they're planning for the future. These are some things to be aware of if you're jumping into today's market. So we would love it if you would share the video with your friends. And as always, thank you for being here and watching the video and being part of the 410 family. We'll see you on the next one.